Hey, Michelle here from the Soul Translator as well as from Sensate Soul. If we don't know each other yet, I work with soul translation as well as with empaths and sensitives and empathic entrepreneurs so that basically we don't have to suffer and life doesn't have to suck being so sensitive because actually those sensitivities are our sacred strengths. So that's the work that I love to do. All right, so in this video, we are going to be talking about empaths and ego, particularly around being an empathic or sensitive entrepreneur. Now, I think this is one of the biggest mental, mindset, energy, emotional blocks and fears that we have stepping into our power as empaths, and as well if you are choosing to do whatever your gifts and talents are as an empath, or simply just what inspires you to do as you're with the intolerable that you want to change. I've talked about that in another video, which you can see around how to work with your contribution, a simple little kind of a formula to be able to identify what is this intolerable thing that you want to help change in the world. And it's a really big, courageous thing for empaths and sensitives to step out into the spotlight and to empower themselves around being an empathic entrepreneur. And it's a beautiful and courageous challenge for most people, and especially for empaths. And I say especially not necessarily because I want to make us all in this separate class and exclusive and all that stuff. It has nothing to do with that. It's simply because empaths are so much more sensitive to energy and to the emotions and the inner worlds and the energies around us. That's what empathy is. Or being an empath basically means you're feeling the sensations, thoughts, feelings, inner world, struggles and celebrations of others. Usually we're more in tune with the pain and the strife simply because we are sensitive to healing and to bringing in a sense of wholeness, because we sense the dissonance or the discord energies. So that's why, the empath can be the one that walks into the room and feels like, wow, what went on in this room? Or wow, what's going on in this room? Because there's some really wild jibe going on with people or with a situation or with a group. So that's in essence, what empaths are feeling is this place of dissonance and the possibility for integration and healing that is on the other side of that funky frequency. So we work with healing and energies and are aware of these different frequencies, working with them in the sense of when things are off, and then also helping things bring them into a state of resonance or equilibrium. Of course, everything in life is always doing the ups and downs energetically, and balance is something we meet and then we tip off, and then we meet and then we tip off. So the really big thing that I want to talk about here in this video is about ego. Yeah, so this is the biggest thing that gets in the way of empaths and spiritual sensitive entrepreneurs. I know personally it's been something that I have grappled with, because we are incredibly sensitive to the ego of others. So of course, we're going to be really sensitive to ego itself and to our own egos. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 reasons why you can hopefully get past that feeling of being scared around ending up like a big ego if you choose to be an entrepreneur as an empath or a sensitive. And I've got some 5 perspectives for you to look at to really see the truth underneath some of these untruths that we can tell ourselves out of fear. So just a really short backstory here. My father was a really successful entrepreneur. He was also a beautiful man in many ways, a gorgeous, lovely soul, He was also in this lifetime very narcissistically inclined because of things that had happened to him in his life. And so for me, when I associate entrepreneurism and success, I often have seen it through this lens of narcissism, through the influence, and the manipulation and everything that can come from that very dominating narcissistic energy. So growing up, I saw, wow, okay, success means ripping a family apart. Success means being mean to people. Success means cutting people off and manipulating people and dominating people. So wanting to be a creative spiritual entrepreneur, wanting to have my own business has been, certainly a process of releasing a lot of the overlay and the mindsets and the beliefs that have come from my childhood around what does it mean to be successful. And so many empaths and sensitives have had these negative narcissistic influences, whether it is in business or relationship or in education or in the family. We have had a lot of examples of what not to do and what feels really horrible. So to step into those shoes as an entrepreneur and think that maybe you're going to have to walk down this road in order to be successful as more of a inflated and impenetrable and narcissistically inclined ego in order to succeed is a really, really big turnoff. And also on a deeper energetic level feels actually very counterintuitive for a lot of empathic entrepreneurs, because we really have spent a lot of time dealing with and healing and sometimes having to make very strong boundaries around not getting into that type of energy. So the idea of potentially being that or being around that all the time can be draining already, even before it starts. So it makes sense that there can be kind of this knee-jerk like, oh no, that's not my cup of tea. So I'll go into these 5 things in just a second. But first, I want to talk about the function of the ego, just very briefly. Most of us can have experience with a ego gone awry, but truly, the real purpose of an ego is protection. And that's a different way and a healthier way to frame and to look at your own ego, because we have to have a healthy ego. This is one of the things of working with empaths and sensitives, that this is what the empowerment piece is to actually grow a healthy ego that can protect us, that can have boundaries, that has, the ability to be able to be separate and take care of ourselves and yet still connected. So having a healthy ego is essential for us to really feel safe in the world, and also to be able to feel safe with ourselves and others. So in essence, ego is all about just protection. Now it gets wonky, of course, and goes into, personality disorders and worse when it's been, shall we say, on high alert for a long time, and then things can get really twisted and dysfunctional. So empaths and sensitives could definitely do with a bigger dose of a healthy ego. So the first point is about, you are already really sensitive to ego. So please trust yourself that you're not going to flip into some sort of egomaniac if you become an entrepreneur and hopefully a very successful entrepreneur in what you're doing. Because you already have such an awareness around what feels like ego energy, you got to trust that you're not going to slip into it. I used to tell people this, in psychological work, is when you're aware of your possibility of going, when people say, I think I'm going crazy, the fact that you are aware of that often is an indicator that you're not going to, because you have awareness around it. It's when we completely lose our awareness and slip into different states and are unconscious to ourselves, that's when problems and that's when the tougher stuff can occur. So being aware of your sensitivity is going to help you be sensitive to ego issues within yourself and also around you. But believe me, I have very rarely met any sort of empath or empathic sensitive entrepreneur who has a really massive ego. They really just don't live in the same zip code. All right. Okay, so number 2 here, and you're going to love this because believe me, you already have this in spades, dear empath and sensitive. And this is around this idea of that you have to have a lot of ego in order to succeed as an entrepreneur. And social media supports this. There's a lot of things out there that say in order to succeed as an entrepreneur, you have to have this massive ego. This connects, of course, to that first point, but here is the other side of it. It's actually not true. Those who have a lot of ego are, and we're talking the unhealthy kind, are usually the ones, sure, they can succeed. They can have the massive crib and the 10 cars and the 10,000 square foot house. And there are those entrepreneurs out there who are selling spiritual, products who also are incredibly egoic. Of course that happens. But what it really takes to get anywhere as being an entrepreneur are 2 things you already have a very big, shall we say, deep pockets with, and that is commitment and resilience. Empaths and sensitives are incredibly resilient. You have to be, in order to be in this world that is generally a lot less sensitive than we'd like it, right? So that ability to be resilient is something that for many empaths, we just naturally have it. And if we don't have it as much as we'd like to, we have the capacity to become more of it as we become more sensitive. It's when we shut down our sensitivity that we can start to feel jaded, resentful, or less resilient, because we simply don't have the energy reserves to be able to respond to things in life as much. That's the shadow side, and that's when people say they're totally drained, or they've been absorbing everything, or they're higher anxiety levels. It's because there's been a shutdown of the sensitivity. So this resilience piece is really important. The second thing is commitment. Man, oh man, woman, oh woman. Empaths and sensitives are some of the most committed people that I know. Like if you doubt your capacity to be committed to being an entrepreneur, look at your last relationship. Look at the thing that you have been dedicating yourself to, taking care of others, helping others, studies, whatever has been or what is your passion and the things that are really important to you. We're actually incredibly steadfast and can be very, very committed to the things that really do matter to us. So if you take that piece of the ego out of it and you see that you actually can be incredibly committed, then that's a wonderful recipe for success. So number 3 again is about this tendency that we can have in society and all around us that says in order to be successful you need to have more narcissistic traits. It's shown to us all around that, kind of like the hustle and get out of my way or the highway, the dominating kind of leader that, just pushes through and makes things happen. It's just a really strong paradigm that we are certainly shedding now as people are becoming more intolerant of things that are about dominating each other in any way. And also, of course, with the divine feminine energies that are coming more and more into our consciousness. So this idea around being narcissistic is unnecessary. And I jokingly call this the no way narc, because sometimes people can have this idea that empaths can become narcissists and that narcissists can become empaths. And this is absolutely BS. We are wired very differently. There is a whole different type of psychological matrix and mindset. If you research this and you look into those who are studying empaths, and the way our brains work, and there's just so much out there that just says that is absolute BS. It really is. And like just the other day, I got into a very in-depth debate on social media with people who are saying that this is true, and it just simply is not. And so this whole idea that you can turn into a narcissist absolutely needs to be dropped. And please give yourself the space first to actually have a healthy ego and to be self-containing and self-promoting before you start fearing that you're going to become a narcissist. So no way can an empath become a narcissist or vice versa. All right, so let's look at number 4. And this one is about altruistic awareness. You're such a beautifully, naturally wired altruist, and that means altruism is the ability to look for the needs and care for the needs of others. On the way bigger scale, it means those people who jump in front of the bus to save the child, or if you think of certain leaders like Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela and Gandhi, who really put themselves in places of danger and also a certain amount of suffering in order for bettering the world and bettering the lives of others. So you have, as an empath and sensitive, this natural altruistic awareness, and bringing that into your business and into your work. My God, that's how you can change the world, is bringing that level of sensitivity into all that you do, because it matters to you, because it is also, as I see, most empaths and sensitives are already looking through the world through that lens, and that is an incredible superhero strength. So to be able to be altruistic and have awareness around that is a trait that we need in entrepreneurism and that we need in commerce. So this is not about self-sacrifice. This is about taking care of the connection and the needs that we have around our interrelational reality, because we're all in this together. All right, so the last one here, number 5, is about creativity. I have found, and I totally stand behind this, most empaths and sensitives have an extremely strong channel for creativity. And when I say creativity, yes, it means creative acts, like things that you do, painting, whatever is a creative process for you. But there's more around this being a creative being and being open to creating the new. And how is that possible? It's because we are sensing into those places of potentiality. Like I said in the very beginning, that's feeling of wow, we sense the dissonance, we sense the place where there can be healing. So being a creative being basically means that you're in tune with the possible solution. I'm going to throw a wordplay in there, or the potential of what wants to come to be. So that is a superpower and super strength of most empaths, is to be highly creative, not just in the, being creative, but also in creative thinking and in potential thinking and in possibilities, and being open to ideas and downloads and everything that can then create new relationships, new connections, and new worlds. So as an empathic entrepreneur, you are already well primed to be a creative entrepreneur as well, and to bring that beautiful quality, that superpower type of quality into your work, into your relationships, and into the mission of whatever that you are doing. All right, thanks so much for watching. Those are 5 points of how actually empathic entrepreneurs are a force to be reckoned with. And letting yourself get into the mindset that you have these 5 traits already, and you can cultivate them and enhance them to be even stronger if that's where you're focusing and seeing their value, and really letting them become your new mindsets and new way of seeing yourself. That's going to be some powerful stuff. All right, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, or share it, or subscribe to my YouTube channel, or wherever you're seeing this. Do leave a comment as well. I love to have conversations and about this material, of course. And also check me out over at thesoultranslator.com. and the sensatesoul.com, which at the time of this video, they are both still under reconstruction on one, construction on the other. But there's ways that we can stay in touch. You can put your info there. And I'll see you in the next video. All right, so much love.